Hi, Carolyn.
Hey, Jen.
We are live on YouTube.
How are you?
Good. Did you hear what I said?
No.
We're live on YouTube. Just
Oh, thank you for letting me know.
you're welcome.
It's appropriate, though. I tried.
Well,
I
thank
tried. But I love the reminder. It's good.
you. Sometimes people try and sneak little things in, so.
Yeah, I think it's best.
Hi, John.
Mayor, I hear you're going to be skiing with the mayor of Brighton sometime soon.
Yeah, Friday. I thought we'd get to know each other. I've never seen him. I mean, I've never met him, only on Zoom. So he volunteered to come over here. I thought that was just fine. We have the best skiing anyway.
Yeah, don't rub that in too much to those big Cottonwood folks.
Good.
That should be fun. He's a good guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Does he
been-
own the lodge at Silver Fork?
Yep. And he also does plowing up there, up in Big Cottonwood.
Mhm.
So, but he used to work at Snowbird, I think. I mean, he's
he
been
did.
around for a long time.
Oh,
So,
very well. I'll be pleased to get to know him. I thought, if there's if there's another community in our local area that's like ours, it's probably Brighton.
Yeah.
Small. And
yeah, very simple. They're a lot newer, right? They've only been around since 2020.
yeah, and we've been around a lot longer. Okay, let's see. We've got Sheridan and we've got Carolyn and we've got John And I don't see Elise. But it's not 4 o'clock yet.
I have not heard from her, so as far as I know, we're expecting her.
Good.
But-
Expecting, I guess, appropriate, please. Raise previous situation.
Too late for that.
Oh, there she is. Good. Peeking around the corner with her dog. All right,
I'm here.
you're here. Good.
Is Ellie watching too?
It's Ella, isn't it? What is-
Ella.
Ella is just hanging out in her little bouncer. So
Cool.
we'll see. She may need me to hold her, so I probably won't be on video much, but I'm here.
Okay. Okay.
Do not subject her to this at such an early age. That could be
Yeah.
child abuse. And congratulations again.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and Galen Benion's with us. What a treat. Our local congressperson. Is that the right term, Galen?
Mayor, I've moved her over to attendees, so she's
Oh, you did. Okay.
back. That's just
All right.
if you want.
Hmm?
Galen, I've given you permission to speak. If you heard the mayor's question.
Yeah, what was the question?
I asked if local congressperson is the right title for you.
Oh, no, representative.
Representative. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
As a newcomer to this business, I don't have all these titles straight. Okay, 4 o'clock. We'll get started here. I'd like to call the March 9th Alta Town Council meeting to order. This meeting will be electronic with an anchor location pursuant to my letter of January 21st, 2022. It was that mode of operation to keep us all safe. And on that subject, Carolyn, can you give us an update on what the appropriate way of protecting ourselves and our community would be?
Wow, have things changed in a month, huh? Does everybody feel like a ton better than they did a month ago?
Done better. I don't know how to measure feel.
Well, I think that the numbers have dropped significantly. Our hospital volumes have come back down to a manageable position. We rank 5th in the country still for the number of COVID cases per capita, which is kind of fascinating. And I think that we don't test as much anymore, but I think I personally feel a lot more comfortable. I think that the Lyft company continues to do a great job. The town does a great job. I think that it's up to you, Mayor, whether you thought we should meet in person. My children go back to school without masks. I think that things have changed. I personally still wear a mask in the grocery store. I wear a mask in the hospital, but that's all a personal choice and how one chooses to protect themselves. So I am very hopeful that COVID may be talked about in the past.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, my sense is that this phase is coming to an end, but that's not necessarily the last phase by any means.
No, but hopefully the less virulent. And, I that would be, COVID's going to be with us forever. It's not going to go away, but it'll be something that's not as awful as it has been.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for that. I once again appreciate your expertise in this area. And in terms of our own operation, I think we will, in the not too distant future, discuss how we want to change, if we want to change it at all. I mean, one of the nice things about this is people can join from all over. And I mean, I think that, yeah, and be in different time zones, which I think John is actually. Any questions of Carolyn on this from anybody? Okay. Well, let's go to citizen input. Jen, have you?
I
got
didn't
some-
hear from anybody, but we do have a handful of people with us as attendees. Attendees, if you would like to speak, in the bottom menu option, you should have an option to raise your hand. Does anybody want to raise their hand? I think we just have observers today, Mayor.
Okay. Well, let's go to Mike Mon then.
I'm bringing him over. There we go.
Okay, Mike, you're still muted as far as I can tell. There you go.
Could I have about 5 minutes just to deal with an issue here and then you come back to me?
Yeah, that's okay. It'll probably be it might be a little more than 5 minutes, but we'll come back to you.
All right.
Okay. Next on the agenda is
Roger, I just made a mistake. Sorry, the panelists jump around and I am bringing you back over. Hopefully you can hear me. Sorry, everyone.
do we need to repeat anything, Jen, or?
Yes, so Mayor, sorry, the participant list reshuffles itself every now and again. So sometimes when I click somebody, it doesn't click the person I intended to, and that just happened to you. So you disappeared for a little bit. So anything you said in the last 30 seconds, no one heard.
What I said in the last 30 seconds is that Mike Mon, we're going to defer him to a little bit later in the agenda. And now we're going to move on to item 4, which is approval of the consent agenda and the meeting minutes and the treasurer's report and the staff report. So if someone would like to make a motion to approve those, I would appreciate that.
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Second by John. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I'll call for the approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the department reports, or are there any of the reporters in departments who want to highlight anything that is in there for chance?
Mm-mm.
We're on the path to have another record short meeting. Okay. No questions. In that case, we'll switch over to the mayor's report. The first item I had on the list is we have a new citizens, and congratulations to Elise and Jonathan. And on the birth of their baby girl. Would you like to say anything, Elise, more than you already said?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, I hope everyone is getting along well. Next item is that Piper, I think nearly everyone here knows, is retiring after more than a quarter century of faithful, dedicated service to our community. And we advertised to that position to have someone who would hopefully fill her shoes, which are quite, I guess it's not right to say that a woman's shoes are large, but in this case, the role is large, and we were fortunate to have an applicant who I think is fully qualified to move into that position, namely Jen. And so, and when Piper retires, Jen will be our new town clerk. Now, of course, that leaves a hole, namely for Jen's job, the deputy town clerk, and we now have an advertisement out for that. Excuse me. If you have any qualified or potentially qualified applicants that you are aware of, please encourage them to apply, because we can't, it's a busy job, and one cannot just hop on this moving train real easily. So please direct people to our website for that purpose. The legislative session has come to an end, and it appears that we came out unscathed. There were some really potentially onerous bills having to do with usurping our authority over supplying water to properties, which would have really had some significant adverse effect on us. That they did not pass. We have a lobbyist named Shelley, and the Utah League of Cities and Towns looking out for us, and I think they did a good job of that. Let's see, I think Jay knows about this, and maybe I should defer it until his report, but in the proceedings of the UFA meetings, I learned that some fire stations were changing their names. And I thought maybe we could have a more descriptive name for our local fire station than 113, which sounds kind of like a bad luck number to me. So maybe it has a black cat as a symbol, but in any event, so I said, well, can we change our fire station name to Little Cottonwood Canyon Fire Station? And I checked with Dave Fields, who's the on whose land, or maybe, or in whose close vicinity is. He said that's a good idea. So apparently I have the ball rolling to get the name changed to Little Cottonwood Canyon Fire Station. Now, I suspect that the professionals in this business will continue to call it Station 113, but its official name will be Little Cottonwood Canyon Fire Station, and that's certainly more descriptive. Jay, I know this is not your turn up. Do you want to say anything about that?
I'm bringing Jay over.
Okay.
And also, I'll just mention while that happens that Carolyn had her hand raised.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. I think it was in regards to this subject matter, so.
I think that's a fantastic idea. I think it's more reflective of who we are and who we serve. And I think the Little Cottonwood Canyon Fire Station is fantastic. So I know that our administration is supportive of that, and it'll still be a numbered fire station and can be referred to by employees as Station 113. But I think I always described it as the station in Little Cottonwood Canyon. So I think that that's a great idea, and excited to have that change.
Okay. And apparently it will get a name on the front that so states, which is great.
That's
All
awesome.
right. Big accomplishment. All right. I'm trying to set up periodic meetings with various people who are influential or I need to have contact with, or our community needs to have contact with. And toward that end, I met for the second time with Becky Hotsey, and our main topic was pretty prosaic. It has to do with bathrooms or toilets in our vicinity. And she's, I guess it's right to say she's a proponent of toilets. And in particular, toilets at trailhead. Her position is there should be toilets at the beginning and end of every trail. And the toilet that to me is most absent is one essentially at the end of our road. And then the question is, whose property should it be on? And we discussed a land exchange where we would give up some land, presumably in the vicinity of the Flagstaff lot, and we would acquire some land and a place where we could install probably a pit toilet, although it would be nicer if we had a flush toilet. She gave me one interesting little tidbit. She took her budget and divided it by the number of visitors she has each year in our forest. Well, not her, in the forest, and found out there was enough money in her budget to buy 3 squares of toilet paper for each visitor. Not that that's how she's going to spend it, but it's an indication of, frankly, how underfunded the Forest Service is in this region. The town has renewed our special use permit for the sewer and water line easements, and for the first time, we will now be charged annually for those permits. Costs about $1,800, but to me, it's well worth it. I attended a meeting of the Council of Mayors on February 24th, and the main topic at that meeting was homelessness, which is a very grim valley problem. And while, because it's impossible to live outside here in the winter, our homelessness problem has really been pushed to downtown, and all municipalities are trying to work together for a solution on this with additional overflow shelters. It's a huge nationwide problem without a solution, as far as I can tell. It's in sight. Our former mayor, Harris Sondak, has agreed to volunteer for the county's Mountainous Planning Commission, which is kind of a planning commission which takes into account all of the mountainous region within this Salt Lake County. And I think he's been interviewed, but apparently no action has been taken. I suspect he will be appointed to that position. And I think that is really great for us, because Harris, of course, is very familiar with us and our issues, and will carry that expertise over to the county. We had a budget committee meeting on the 1st of March, and we'll have another one prior to the April town council meeting. We may have a work session on the budget prior to that meeting too. And the budget development is progressing smoothly. Let's see, in attendance were John and let's see, Elise, you weren't able to attend that, but I hope that you can kind of take a look at the recording and get with Piper if you have any questions on that.
Yeah, I watched the recording. I do have some, I'll email Piper some comments.
Okay, great. Do you want to say anything about it, John?
No, I'm okay. I thought it was a good meeting. I think we're headed in the right direction. I think that we're going to need to do a truth and taxation approach to the 23 budget, and seems like we're moving in that direction.
Okay. The next of these meetings, the next town council meeting will Wednesday, the 13th of April, with a possible budget work session prior to that. Okay, thus ends the mayor's report. Is Mike Mon now available?
Yes.
Good.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you for a few minutes here. You know, it's nice to see it snowing outside. We got 45 inches out of this storm now. It's
Wow.
taken us over 100-inch base. We're now at 114 inches as of 4 o'clock today. Storm's supposed to taper off and just be partly cloudy here tomorrow, but a little on the cold side.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be working on getting more of the ski area open to accommodate people. Today, we both Alta and Snowbird pretty much filled all available parking. And we went to the road being, we put out that the parking was full on all the electronic signs. And, you know, we had maybe 50 spots spread available, but we were able to, that tapered the flow and the road really didn't have to be shut down, which was a very positive thing. A lot of these type of days attract more single occupancy vehicles, you know, that we filled, but we were several thousand visitors off what we would normally see on a day when we fill the parking lots. But we're looks like we may have another storm of significant nature in the next week sometime. It's a little early. We'll see what the forecast is. Well, a lot of people smiling, a lot of people happy today. It's glad to see a change from what we've seen the last few months. The few developments is I would mention that, you know, we had the road closed at 12:30 last night. We had the road convoy, early morning convoy, and it worked great. Everybody was happy with that and how things worked with the happening on the road today. So thank you particularly to the Mike Moore in his office for his guys for making that all work. We are a little bit at one of the challenges we are facing right now is the Forest Service levels of staffing are really impacting our planning processes. Becky Hotze's trying to hold down the fort, just hired another employee, but 3 of her employees are out for a variety of reasons. And one of them being the permit administrator that we work with to get anything approved and moving forward. And so it's kind of impinging a little bit. some of the projects we had hoped to do this summer are going to probably be pushed to next summer or further down the road. Right now, we are still moving forward with a replacement of the Sunnyside lift to a 6-pack. There will be some significant tree removal. I think 140 plus trees are going to be removed for that new lift alignment. We are proceeding with work up on Supreme, the erosion gully area, the Big Dipper Knob. There'll be another significant tree cut up there associated with that. And then we are working with the Forest Service on all the dead trees in the ski area on a fuels reduction process. And they are encouraging us to cut those trees and burn them on the snow. We're working through that process a little bit. Whether that's going to happen or not remains to be seen. With the other things we're doing with the lift and the other tree removal we do, we may not be able to accommodate that this year. But I'm sure many of you have noted that we are having a lot of trees in Albion Basin that are dying or dead at this point in time. We also will be working towards putting some VESON towers on Baldy. This is the first step in our process to work towards replacing the 105 howitzer. The Army said 2026 is no more use of that howitzer. And so we're looking at putting potentially 5 VESON towers on Baldy this year, another 4 next summer in conjunction when Snowbird does their side of Baldy. And that would allow us to take the howitzer that fires within Alta offline when we get to that point in time. From a business standpoint, you may have, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of ski areas are now starting to release season passes. Epic's coming out, Mountain Collective's out, Icon's out. I think Snowbird's going to be out. They're all coming out with their offerings for the next season. One significant change regarding us and the Icon Pass is currently we participate as a partner destination for the Icon base, all of the Icon products, let's put it that way. And effective starting next season, we will no longer be a destination for all Icon products. Only we will Deer Valley, Alta, Snow Basin, Sun Valley, Jackson Hole, and Aspen will be only available to ski on Icon's premier product, and the Icon Base Plus and the Icon regular Icon Pass. So, which is currently about 40% of the Icon product. So, current 60% of the Icon Pass holders will no longer have Alta as an option starting for next year. We anticipate, though, with that move, that may balance out to be more of a 50-50. We think there'll be a significant move within their product mix of people to preserve their right to come to go visit those resorts. So, but we've been moving in this direction of, we continue to recognize that our challenge that has been magnified by COVID is outdoor recreation, and there being more demand than there is recreation capacity. And to preserve the quality of the Alta skiing experience, we need to take steps to manage the number of people that can come here. We're doing that through parking, and we're doing that. Well, this is another step we're taking in that direction. We will continue to be a Mountain Collective partner out there in the ski industry, but we're reducing our participation with Icon. This season, with our reservation system, the common question I get as other ski areas call and ask, how's it impacting your business and how much are you losing because you're doing reservations? I'm happy to report right now that our business levels are above what they were the last 3 years in terms of skier visits. And if it continues as projected, it continues to go as it seems to be going at this point in time, this season will definitely be in the top three, if not the busiest season recorded in Alta's history as a ski area in terms of visitation. It's rather surprising to us in a little bit because the changes that we have made with parking and such have just seemed to change the flow and made it so the mountain hasn't been as congested or as busy as expected, particularly on the weekends and holidays. Anyway, we haven't felt overrun like we have in previous years. We have been quite busy the last few weekends in that realm with things, but we'll remain to see where we come in with revenues and visits. But if we finish strong as it appears that we will be able to finish strong, especially with this most recent storm, and if the storms keep coming, it definitely a top three a season for the ski area. That's all I have in my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Questions for Mike? Oh, Sheridan.
Thank you for your report. May I ask, are you able to tell us how long your contract is with Icon?
I really can't disclose that, but we have re-signed another contract. It's not very, it's short term, but it is multi-year. I can just say it like that.
Okay.
Anybody else? John, Elise?
Sounds great. Sounds like we're having a great season.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, we are.
My own personal observation is that despite the low snow, that the quality of the snow in the last 2 months has been remarkably good, despite the fact that there was so little of it. So your groomers do a fantastic job.
They have done a great job. Part of that, one of the reasons the snow has held up so well is even when we got to the end of March, or not the end of March, but the end of February, our snowpack, we showed we were at about 78% of normal in snowpack, in inches of snow. But when it looked at the water in the snow, we were still above average. And so that snow with more water in it has held up a lot much better. And the cold temperatures contributed to that allowed our groomers to do pretty good work and keep the quality of the skiing experience quite good. We really saw it start to fall off last week when we had the extra warm temperatures, and it really started to beat down, and the snow quality changed in about a 2-day period of time where things became a lot firmer, a lot icier. So we were really appreciative when this storm cycle started.
Yeah, just in time. Carolyn, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just wondering, Mike, if you've had a lot of sort of a different flavor in comments on parking, and whether you've gotten any compliments from people, or how things have been settling out given all our preseason angst.
So from the skiers, season pass holders, the people that are coming skiing, overwhelming support. I have people that have went out of their way to come into my office and say, I was one of the persons that gave you a lot of angst at the beginning of the season, and I said some things that probably weren't appropriate. I'm here to apologize and tell you thank you very much and don't change it. So overwhelming support from those groups. When it comes to the overnight parking and dealing with the town and the cabin owners and such like that, some very, very supportive. It's such a mixed group. I've got more of a mixed bag there, some that still would like to see some changes and some improvements. And we're going to we're going to work through that. We'll have a little open house or a comment period for all of them, and as well as the businesses, to see if there's things we can do to maybe improve in that area. But the support has been, and the acceptance of it has been overwhelmingly positive. I probably every day when I'm on the mountain, I have someone compliment us on that and say, thank you, it was one of the best things you ever did. and it's spilled over to other ski areas because they're calling us saying, my customers are telling me I need to do what Alta's doing. What are you doing? So it's been kind of fun on that side of things.
Mike, I have a question, a clarification. When you say that it might be one of the top 3 seasons, do you mean like bottom line?
Bottom line, I'm not sure yet, just because revenue-wise, on the revenue side, which sales tax has come off with, yes. But bottom line, I'm not sure because of the increased cost. We had a significant payroll increase going into this season, and then with the inflationary costs increases that we're seeing, we're also seeing significant increase in costs.
Right. So revenue. Thank you.
But revenue that will be up. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for Mike? Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you.
like pretty darn good news. Our next topic on the agenda is discussion of possible action to approve a licensing agreement to adopt a town flag. I asked if Sarah Gibbs could join us today to talk about the background on this town flag. I don't know, Jen, do you know if she did?
No, she had responded that she was unavailable.
Oh, she was unavailable. Okay. Well, as I think most everyone knows, after some really, I thought, outstanding work, ACE, led by Sarah, came up with a community flag, which she felt, and I agree with her, represents the community. And frankly, I learned a new word called vexillological, which has to do with I guess flag design. And that for us to fly this flag on our town buildings, which I think would be a great idea, we needed a licensing agreement from ACE. And so we have a draft agreement, which I would like to entertain or have the town council approve. And for that end, I would like, and there's 2 things. First is that we approve the license agreement, and then we pass a resolution to adopt the town flag. So on the first of these, could I have a motion to approve the licensing agreement with Alta Community Enrichment to use their town flag?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Carolyn made a motion. Any second?
A second.
Sheridan seconded. Any discussion?
Did you come across any downside to doing this, Roger?
Well, there's a downside to not doing it. I found that out.
Okay.
And that if we were to decide to use this flag without either this licensing agreement or this resolution, we would be in jeopardy of having others come say, we want you to fly our flag. And we may not find that their flag is one that represents our values. And so this was a scheme that looked initially rather cumbersome that would ensure that sort of thing wouldn't happen. I don't know, maybe Polly or Cameron, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to, Mayor. So it boils down to a free speech issue. If the town allows other groups to fly symbols or messages on town buildings, then the town can't distinguish between who flies what message or communicates what message. But the town is entitled to have its own speech and its own viewpoint. And so by adopting the flag as the town flag, the town is expressing its viewpoint that this image represents the community, and it avoids the conflict of having to pick and choose between what communication or images we want to endorse. And so it's sort of the legal safe road, but it allows the town to express its views without running afoul of the Constitution for speech issues.
Okay. So item one, I presume, let's see, Piper, maybe you can rule on this. Do we need to have a, or Cameron for that matter, do we need to have a vote on this licensing agreement?
Yeah, it's just for the council to authorize you to enter the licensing agreement.
Okay. So, excuse me, I would like to entertain a motion to authorize me to enter into this licensing agreement.
Mayor, I think you have a motion and a second.
Okay, I do have a motion in a second. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion passes. And then the next is the resolution to adopt the town flag. And I would like to entertain a motion that for resolution 2022-R4 to adopt the town flag.
So moved.
Okay, Sheridan moved. Second. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, and here we go. There's the town flag.
Mayor, can I point out one thing about the flag project?
Yes.
I just thought it was important to mention that ACE was able to do that project because of funding from ACVB. And so
It's good to know.
that's just a good point to make as well.
Okay, next. But in 2020, just when the census was to be taken, my understanding is that the way the census works, it's where one resides on April 1st. Well, on April 1st of 2020, when the census is supposed to be taken, a lot of people who normally would be here on that date were not. And so my contention is that the census that was taken, which we're, I believe, appealing, is not representative of what the true population of the town is. And therefore, I felt it was appropriate to disconnect the number of dog licenses from the official population. And toward that end, I am offering up here ordinance 2022-02 that sets the number of dog licenses at 94 for all of the classes collectively. And then whenever the final official census comes in, we might want to reconsider it. But in the meantime, I'd like it not to be a situation where our official census suddenly drops by 50%, and we've got to comply with that, reduce the number of dog licenses by 50%, or some other factor. So I offer for discussion here this ordinance amending the town code on dog licensing and I would like to open that for discussion.
Roger, Mayor, can I point out two more things about the ordinance?
Yeah, please do.
There is another update in the ordinance to really reflect the actual practice in the town office of how we administer temporary licenses. We don't actually issue tags that go out to people and then get collected back. That once was the situation, but we don't do it anymore. And so it's just an update to the language to reflect that and give us a little bit of leeway in how we administer the temporary licenses. And then we also identified, I think John Goldner pointed out today, that we have two whereases in the beginning section that are exactly the same. So I'm hoping we can have it be an administrative function or something, just to remove the duplicate whereas when we.
A little cleanup there.
Yes, yes.
Yes, got it. All right.
So I just wanted to point those things out.
You know.
Am I to understand that there are 10 temporary permits, and so you could have a giant dog party with 10 temporaries at one time, but if there was an 11th request, that would be difficult to meet? Is that what the ordinance reads as?
That is correct. We would be unable to meet it. We don't have a license available for that 11th.
And it seems like by your dog presentations on a monthly basis, Jen, that 10 is a generous number for the number of temporary permits that are needed. Is that correct?
Yeah, and how they're issued, we typically don't, well, this year was quite a bit different than last year, actually. I was actually kind of bumping on the ceiling quite a bit last year. The main time of year when the number of requests exceed the number of applicants that I have is Christmas week, Christmas and New Year's week. We pretty much every year I have to say no to somebody, or we adjust dates or do something. Other than that, there are typically enough licenses to go around.
Is there a way to change the wording slightly so that they were available like on a like it was 10 a day, so that there were this many days available so that you could accommodate people who owned a home over Christmas?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
So you have 10 of these temporary permits available. So if you said you could have 365 days of the year times 10 permits, right? Instead of saying that I only have 10 available for that week, you could have so many dog days available.
There is no one day in the year where more than 10 licenses are issued. So they are connected with the day.
Okay.
If that helps at all.
It does. I was just thinking, and we should not dedicate a lot of time to this, but because I really like the way the ordinance is written, and thank you, Roger, very much for changing the time frame. I really appreciate the effort, and I like that it's no longer tied to the population. I was just trying to think about accommodating the few very rare instances of when there are more people who might want a permit that own a home or something like that during those weeks. But maybe that's something that can be put in as an addendum at a different time period.
Roger, were you making a motion on this ordinance? Because I think we need it.
I would, we do need it. Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we adopt this ordinance with the correction that Jen mentioned. Then we can continue with our discussion.
And I second it.
Okay. All right. Back to discussion.
Yeah, I think that Carolyn's idea is interesting. I've long thought it would be interesting to explore, and not for the purpose of passing this today, but some way to get more utility out of the licenses than we get, because so many of the permanent licenses are used so little, it's just a struggle when other people, are refused a license, especially during the holidays. My daughter has a license. I'm stoked, but I can tell you she uses it about like 15 or 20 nights a year. And I feel uncomfortable that we take a license out of the circulation and then use it 15 or 20 nights a year. And you can't share it with her sister who also has a dog. So she's just shit out of luck. And it seems like there would be room for improvement. I think this would be more of like a task force dive deeply into how the licenses are structured. And I don't think, we're going to try to accomplish that today, but I echo Carolyn's input that I'd be open to exploring avenues where we got more utilization out of the licenses.
Sheridan, it looked like you were going to say something.
Oh, just thinking. Thank you, Mayor.
Thinking.
I second both Carolyn and John's points about looking at the overall program, maybe not today. It does seem like it's a gray area with regard to the temporaries. That's not something that ever came before the council in terms of setting a number or had council approval to say, let's agree on 10 temporary licenses per day, 365 days of the year. And the way it's administered, I admire it, but again, not something that came before council purview. So I do think for future, I like John's idea of a deep dive. Dare I say that so early in your administration, Mayor?
I think this was a topic of the last administration that lasted for quite a long time.
Are the 10 temporaries what used to be the mayor's 10 discretionary, or are there still 10 discretionary tags for the mayor?
The mayor has one discretionary tag that is part of the 10.
Just one now. So it really is that they went from being the mayor's discretionary to the temporary program?
I wasn't around when it was administered that way, so I can't necessarily speak to that.
John?
I would say yes. There's no more additional mayor discretionary multiple dog tags, so it's just one deal now.
It's always precarious because the water people and the Forest Service, I think, are watching this relatively closely to make sure that we are not violating their principles on having dogs here, and that we have kind of an equilibrium now that I am reluctant to change significantly, although the idea of having an offline group that discusses how we might modify our town ordinance is, I think, quite, that's a good idea. But in the meantime, what I'd like to do is pass this ordinance and its companion piece, which sets the number of dog permits for the next round. So if there's any further discussion, let's have it. Otherwise, let's vote on the ordinance 2022-02. Oh yeah, John.
I would say that, I think the plan of action that you laid out is fine. And I would also note that really today's action is pretty significant in its own right, disconnecting the number of licenses from the population. So I think I'm in agreement with you, Roger. Today's not the day to explore further adjustment to the program. I think this is an important adjustment, and we should focus on the matter at hand, which is disconnecting the number from the official population.
Okay,
And I'm assuming that the numbers that are proposed and set are kind of what currently exists. Is that correct? No one was cut.
well, nobody, first principle is nobody loses a license. Okay, that I think is the only moral stance one could take. However, there are some unfilled licenses I think that we've reduced slightly. Is that accurate, Jen?
So if you do the 2010, 25% census calculation, you get 95. And this calls for 94. So you are reducing it by 1. And then if you review the what was recommended in the resolution, there were some forfeited licenses. And so it's being recommended that 2 of those forfeited licenses go into A and 1 goes into B. And those numbers are all in the resolution. So I can pull that up in a minute if we want when we get to the resolution, and we can review that more thoroughly. But you are reducing the total number by 1.
But if it was tied to the population as it's been in the past, it'd be a much more draconian adjustment.
Yeah. And there would be people who have, somehow we'd have to withdraw licenses from people that had them, which is not something I want to do.
Percentage.
What's that?
Or increase your percentage.
Yeah, or increase the percentage. Yeah, right. Okay, are we ready to vote on ordinance amending the dog licensing number? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimously passed. So the companion piece is resolution 2022 R5, which authorizes the maximum number of dog licenses to be assigned, setting license fees, and authorizing and drawing. Now, one item here is that the price of a temporary license is going to go up, although I believe that might be a separate resolution. When I'll get a motion. And is that, no, that's the next resolution. But in this one, it's to set the license fee, authorizing the drawing. I must say that the drawing is, which I watched carefully last year, because I had a dog in the fight is not exactly the right term.
Dog in the hunt?
Yeah. We had applied for a dog license and therefore was very interested in the drawing, which I thought was carried on exceptionally well. And the fact that I lost is, the luck of the draw. So I would entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2022-R5 on replacing the existing resolution on the number of dog licenses and setting fees and authorizing a drawing.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
The fee set for from $50 to $60. I think that we've talked, about the budget a little bit. I know we're not going to make a lot of money off of the dog permits, but boy, as a community, we spend a lot of time on dogs, and it seems to me as though setting that fee even higher is not an unreasonable thing to do. Might not be a popular opinion from those who are seeking it, but I would argue that having those temporary permits should cost the same as a full-time permit.
well, because of the, essentially the turnover, the, probably, I don't know, what is our revenue on the temporary permits versus the permanent ones, Jen? Because, I mean, despite the fact that there are 10 temporary permits available, there really are more, I don't know how to describe this very well, that because those 10 permits are not just for 10 people, they're multiple people over the time. And so the revenue from that becomes substantial. You want to say anything about this, Jen?
I just did a quick calculation, looking at our year-to-date numbers. Piper, correct me if any of this sounds too wonky to you, but we bring in roughly just shy, probably $11,500 on the annual licenses. So that means about 2,500 roughly in temporary license fees.
Seems like there's a lot of administrative work for a temporary permit.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Jen?
That there's a lot of work to it.
Yeah.
It probably, my average time spent on one of those, 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, is that all? Per?
I mean, there's the occasional one that's an outlier that I got to talk through people a little longer with, but
I was going to say,
I think that's the average.
your time on phone calls back and forth, it could add up to more, but yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of these temporary people are, the people that are getting these are at this point, they're repeat requesters, and it's pretty quick. So that's an average number.
Yeah. Now, the difference is for those of us, or those of you who have an annual license, that only goes once. So it is, I mean, Carolyn's point is pretty interesting. I mean, for an annual license, it costs $125 or thereabouts. And yeah, and or $100 for a neutered dog. And that probably takes you no more time than for each individual temporary license, right?
I would almost say it's more.
Would you?
Not by much, but the reason being is that there's a whole series of things that you have to produce to renew your license. The temporary is much more streamlined, and people don't always submit a complete application. Most people do not submit a complete application the first time. That's
even for renewals.
Correct.
Wow. All right.
It's okay. I mean, they get to it eventually, and we help them get there. But I would say I'm surprised that people aren't able to submit a complete application at this point. More
it's a pretty detailed. It's a pretty detailed process, especially for the annuals. Just trying to figure out what class you fall into, and then really proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're a member of that class. It's pretty involved. I found out with my youngest child last year. But I will say, and I don't want to leave the wrong impression about the temporary program. I think the temporary program works great, and we don't always get a tag when we ask for one, but most of the time we do, and the process isn't that difficult. I guess this is food for thought for another day. To have more of the some of the forfeited licenses, grow the number of licenses available in the temporary program, I think could make some sense. Where say there were 10 licenses forfeited next year, to allocate 2 or 3 more to the temporary program, so that you got up to maybe 15 or 20 temporary licenses could make it more user friendly.
Well, my counter to that, John, would be for those people who truly live here and would like to have a dog, there are, I'm sure, at least a handful of us who are not able to do that.
Oh, for sure.
And so to what you're essentially suggesting is you might want to prioritize temporary licenses over permanent licenses for full-time residents. And I don't know if that's,
No, I mean,
Where
just
we wanna
take it
go.
right now, it's 90-10 is the balance, right? And so I'm just saying, maybe you make it 85-15. I don't know. I guess it would depend how much utilization Jen felt she was getting out of the temporary licenses. So maybe it's a bad idea. It could take a long time. The two things that take a long time in Alta, the first one's getting a PO box, the second one's getting a dog tag. Just how it goes.
Jen, in the drawing that took place last May, you had about roughly 15 applicants for how
A.
many?
Which is the voter class.
Yeah,
About 40, I think it was 43 in the property owner class.
I see.
Class
Yeah.
B.
And how many, let's say, so you had 15 in one class and 43 in the other class for how many available licenses?
We had 2 or 3 in A and
Yeah.
1, I think only, or no, we had, I'm sorry, I don't, wish I remember them better, but we had a few in each.
Yeah, not very
A
many.
few and 3, maybe it was 5 total,
Yeah,
3 in property owner and 2 in voter class.
Yeah, that was
Don't
my,
quote me on that. I'd have to look back.
that was my vague recollection too. We had 3. So, so that's the point, that we're not nearly fulfilling the, you might say, the desires of the voter class. So,
No, it's the other way around. You have far more property owners seeking
well, we're not
License.
fulfilling them either.
than.
Yeah.
You have a bigger pool of people asking about the Class B than you do about the Class A,
Got it.
from my assessment of who gets on my list and who's asking about getting licenses.
But the temporary ones are allocated not really on it. It's just who calls up and asks for one, right?
You have to have a place to stay in Alta, so you can't bring your dog up to go hiking, right? You have to be staying at a residence or have a reason to have your dog up here.
And you can get unlimited recurrent.
No,
There's a limit.
there's some weird, you have to, the maximum time frame is 30 days. And then because it's temporary, there has to be a 14-day break in between, so you can't have sequential licenses. And you're only allowed 90 days within a fiscal year from July through June. So I have a few people that hit that, but the reason for that is that the temporary program is not intended to replace annual licenses. It's intended to be a temporary program. So that's why those structures were kind of put in place. But those structures are not defined by the ordinance or this resolution outside of the number being 10. That is more of a mayor designed program to administer them.
Yep. Those programs do work in terms of keeping them temporary, for sure. The interruption and the required interruption in the license. There's no sort of just skating through on temporary tags until the next year.
Right.
Again, it's because of the 90-day limitation and that you have to have a 2-week break between each 30 day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what happened, or why we changed. One of the reasons this was changed, because in previous years, you get a temporary and it could last for a very long time.
Right. Back when they were called mayor exceptions, they lasted for years, some of them.
Yeah.
Right. There was nothing temporary about it, really.
It's,
Renewable.
Right. And you had to stay on the good side of the mayor, generally speaking.
yeah. And I don't want to get into any situation like that. Yeah.
Smart of you.
All right, we've had a good deal of discussion on this resolution. We prepared for a vote. Let's have a vote. All in favor, resolution 2022-R-5. Say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Now,
Sheridan, I'm sorry. I don't know if that was a delay. Are you in for or against?
Sorry, I was for, I just couldn't turn on my
Okay.
microphone.
Thank you.
got it. Okay, now the next resolution is this, that increases the temporary dog license fee from $50 to $60, which, I mean, I think that has been, I think that's Jen's judgment as to what is a revenue neutral way of approaching this. Do you want to say anything more about that, Jen?
No, I think that's correct. And just to point out that fee increase was reflected in the resolution R5 that was just passed. It did say $60. So my understanding of this piece is to be able to update the fee schedule online. So I think you've all already kind of agreed to that increase. And then this is that last piece for the fee schedule.
Okay.
Holly, if I didn't get that quite right, let me know.
So let's have I'd like to entertain a resolution to adopt a motion to adopt resolution 2222-R6, which increases the dog license fee for temporaries.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's adopted. All right, now the last item of business here is resolution 2022-R7, which terminates the town's health reimbursement arrangement plan, which was adopted 7 years ago, almost 6 plus, but has never been needed. And so this is kind of cleaning things up. Since then, the health insurance benefits for employees have been such that this has not been a valuable benefit to them. And so since nobody's using it, we thought we might just delete it. So
Besides no one using it, it costs the town money to have it in effect.
yeah, I left that important piece out. Oh, it's costing us money and it's not doing us any good, which is more than just cleaning house. It's acting fiscally responsibly. So I would like to have I'll tell you what. I move that we adopt resolution 2022-R7, terminating the town health reimbursement arrangement plan.
Seconded.
Seconded, okay, from Sheridan. Discussion. Absence of discussion, I call for the question. All in favor of resolution 2022-R7? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, last item on the agenda is new business, which is really just open forum for any of our council to bring up anything they'd like to bring up.
Mayor, could we meet our lobbyist? I've never had the pleasure.
Say
Shall
that
we?
again?
Could we meet collectively through at one of our council meetings, our lobbyist?
I've never met her either. It's a good idea. That's a good idea. Bring Shelley in.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I first met her when she was on the air quality board, and she was kind of head to head with Bill, kind of opposite on many issues. Job for us that have totally changed my mind about the way she looks at things. So she's really into the municipalities. She's really into looking out for little municipalities. She works for Parsons Bailey. And I think now that the legislative session is over, give her a month to recover, and maybe we could get her to say hello next month.
Great idea. Okay, so let's put her
I'll
on
reach
the
out
agenda.
to her.
Oh, is that Piper? You'll reach out to her?
To invite her, yes.
Yeah, great. Okay. I'd like to know what she looks like too. I'll read her stuff.
And it will have been a month since it's over. So I don't know if it's worthwhile to do a recap that much later, but we could ask her to, say something about a couple of the bills or a couple of things that she's run into on the Hill that would have affected us.
Personally, I think it's a great idea to have her come in a month or so, because then you know which bills have been signed, haven't been vetoed, and I was planning on bringing something, Cameron and I were planning on bringing something kind of once the dust has settled, which is now, and the league does a really nice summary as well, but it would be very interesting to get her perspective.
Perfect.
Go ahead. I'm stepped on somebody there.
No, that's a great idea. This is a good agenda item.
And while we're talking about such things, I think it would be great to have have Galen Bennion, our representative, who apparently who flashed by in the beginning of this meeting, have some time on our agenda to meet her. I've had the pleasure of talking with her, and I like what she has to say, frankly. So with that biased approach, see if we can invite her to a meeting in the future.
Do you want that for the April meeting?
Let's see how crowded the April meeting is, but sooner, from my standpoint, is better than later. And we also have a senator who is Kathleen Reby our senator?
Not in Alta.
Okay.
Cullimore. I can't think of his first name. Kirk Cullimore? Kirk Cullimore.
Okay. Well, at some point we need to, I think it would be beneficial to learn about him too. Okay, any other new business?
I guess just a clarification. I took a quick look, and I see the deputy clerk job was posted on Monday. Do we think we're going to generate some strong candidates? Do we have somebody in mind? I noticed that they're saying the posting says that we're going to make a decision next Wednesday. Is that enough time? It says till the 6th, that it's open till the 16th.
A decision, or that's when the applications close?
I'd have to go read it again. I don't know, but it seems like
Application
that's a pretty short time frame. Would we want to let it go a few more weeks than that, John? Or do you have somebody?
If we don't get anything, yeah. If we don't get a healthy response, then we'll put it out longer and see if we can reach out in different ways. Jen and Piper put it all over the place. I mean, state website, our website, post office, word of mouth, and then, I'm leaving all sorts of things out. Clerk, probably the Clerks Association, and what else did I leave out? You who did all the work.
Jen, go ahead and comment on the process.
We sent it out to in addition to what's been said, the an administrative office of the court, there's a whole bunch of lists that we're part of. So the administrative office of the courts put it out, municipal clerks, recorders lists.
Nonprofits, Jim?
We have to be a member and we're not a member yet. So I
Okay.
looked into that one.
Okay.
I looked into that one, but
I think broad dissemination's great. I think
Yeah.
a week might be not enough time to let it really come to fruition, but I suppose if you have the right person applies in the week, then great.
yeah, I mean, the thought with the timing of Piper's departure is we're pretty pinched, to be honest,
Training.
in the office. And so if we can get somebody of quality in here with the lag time that everything takes to hire a person, that would be good. So we can always extend it if we don't feel like we have viable candidates.
You could also vote to make Piper stay for another month and then.
Oh, right. So we have a resolution to that effect?
Approved.
So,
No, Jen said something about, I thought it was added in the description that it would be open until filled, that we're asking for applications until next week, but that the job posting was open until filled, but I could be wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
that was just the strategy if we didn't get applications. Okay.
It'll be interesting to see how the wage level holds up, but it's probably too close to breaking into a full budget discussion, but
yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah, be
reaction-
careful.
There's a lot, right? We wouldn't want to do that. There's a pretty challenging, somebody told me recently that $18 was now the starting dishwasher wage at the Snow Pond. I haven't independently confirmed that, but that's what I heard. $18 seems like a huge amount of money, right? It's time to reset your salary expectations.
Are you suggesting some of us get jobs as a dishwasher at the?
I was thinking about it.
No, I'm just nervous we're going to produce the right candidate. If I'm doing the math right, $42,000 a year is about $20 an hour. So, but hopefully it'll work out.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else in the way of new business or other?
We opportunity to congratulate Jen on her new role, and also I wonder if we might set aside some time to thank her, all of her service, her wonderful service, and an opportunity to maybe go on record for all of us before she departs her role.
I think that's a great idea.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sheridan.
It's been a great honor, Piper. I want an opportunity to think about this a little more fully before I make a formal statement.
Yes.
Honor.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
Mayor, do you
All
want
right.
to get a motion to,
To adjourn?
yeah?
Yes, I do. Somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you for coming. See you next.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right.